Ndewo. Ndewo is an Igbo Nigerian word that means long life. And that is what I hope for every one of you today. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to go outside. It is absolutely beautiful out there. So we are certainly very grateful to be walking amongst the living. It is my honor to welcome you to Chism Live. This is our forum for discussions about our spiritual health and other items on the agenda that we find interesting, we consider will be interesting to you. I'm your host, Okedibia Dr. Wanyo Husimere, and I am really quite excited to introduce to you my co-host, UD Onyoha.
Hello.
That's UD, and UD and UD is the Dibia Ochwaja of Global Faith Ministries of Chiism. And then we have our special guest today, Nnamdi Osimiri. Nnamdi is the president of Native Design Group. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for joining us. This should be a very interesting program today. I am before we get started, I think it's imperative that we give thanks to the Most High, Chineke, for this blessing of life. We know that there are so many people who did not see this day. So we should be very grateful for the opportunity to see and smell the sweetness of nature and be able to witness all that is good in the world today, at least for today. You know, we are blessed, we are blessed, we are blessed. So we thank God. And then, of course, we thank the ancestors for continuing to guide us. And we're grateful for the wonderful lives that they lived and in whose the footsteps that we are filling. We are charged to fill their footsteps. Whatever they didn't finish, it becomes our responsibility to finish it. And, you know, it's always imperative that we give thanks to those who start anything that we follow up on. And that is Chief Obaja Ahanke Oke Onyoha, the founder, the spiritual leader of Godianism. Godianism is the English word for Chiism. And we also want to remember and honor his all the accomplices, if I may use that expression, that worked with him to promote Godianism in Nigeria. It used to be the National Church of Nigeria when Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was involved and the Oba of Benin was involved, Bonu Jike, all of those people were all involved in moving our African spiritual tradition to the forefront, you know, to say to the world that, you know, African spirituality is just as noble as any other spirituality. As a matter of fact, it's the original spirituality. If humanity and civilization began in Africa, it stands to reason that our spirituality was number one. We're not saying people should not believe whatever they want to believe, but we certainly have to make sure that we honor our own spirituality. And what is Chiism? What is it? It's direct communication. It's simple. Direct communication with the Most High. And that is to say, from us to Chineke, there is no distance. Right where we are, Chineke is. That power that we seek elsewhere is right within us. It's in us. And it becomes our responsibility to let our light shine, to let our power out. Any weakness that we exemplify is not what's in us. We are people of power. Every living being has power. And we need to allow that power to come out. So I want to thank all of you for welcoming us to your home. We are not going to abuse. I mean, it is a privilege to come into your home. We're not going to abuse that. So we are grateful that you're joining us. Those of you who are on air with us right now, thank you so very much for joining us on this one. This is an exciting month. This is the month of Agunsi. Agunsi. UD, would you agree that's a powerful month?
Oh, yeah.
The month of Agunsi. You know, some people want to know, what do you believe? And quite frankly, we, after Chiism, bases our belief system on months on our calendar, some expectations that are placed upon us during those months, some things that we have to adhere to. Okay, for instance, this month of Agunsi runs from July the 20th to August the 26th. So from July the 20th to August 26, there are some expectations that we are expected to carry out. Uh, it has a color. I tried very hard to find a color. Now, you were supposed to find a color. You see, now this guy, his color blue.
I wasn't even thinking about it. Now I got some blue stuff on my screen, but nobody can see it.
I got my jewelry. I got my jewelry. It's called blue in Igbo language. Is acha anono. That is the color. So I had to go and fish out blue somehow. I didn't have any blue clothing, but I suddenly knew that this is a month blue. Shame on you, Yudi. You should know. You should have something blue on you. I got my necklace.
I'm totally guilty. But like I said, as a matter of fact, there's blue lettering scrolling across my screen right now. Y'all can't see it.
That's not it.
I'm in the spirit.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
I'm in the spirit of blue.
Here's what's special about this month. The month of August is dedicated to enjoining all of us, to encourage all of us to go to pray, to honor the Creator, however we understand best, without bitterness. Yeah. So this is how you find peace in the world, when you allow people to worship the Creator the way that their ancestors did, the way that they understand best, without criticizing it. And this is what the problem was for us. That's really why His Holiness had to reenact African spirituality into our reality, into our consciousness again, because your spirituality is what governs your conduct, governs how you act. You see what I'm saying? So when you're not governed by your traditional way of living, when you're governed by something foreign, you're not acting right. You said something to me, Yudi, today that was really upsetting to me. And you told me not to go and watch it. Not to go and watch it. People who believe in honoring the Creator, people who believe that right where we are, the Creator is. How do you take two young people who stole because they're hungry and kill them and burn them?
When you talk about stealing, you're talking about maybe the salt. It's like a corn. They got a little corn, so you could roast the corn, or maybe it's just one orange, and you get roasted for that, as opposed to saying, "Wow, that kid went and stole that orange because they're hungry. Maybe I should feed that kid," right? Act like an African. Act like somebody that has a level of spirituality in you and concern for your fellow human being, right? From me to God, there's no distance. The God you seek is in you. Have a little bit of the chi, right? The spirit of Chineke in you to go and get that child that was stealing a mango because he's hungry and feed that child. Instead, you string that kid up. You burn him alive. You put a rope around your neck. And meanwhile, your leaders are signing contracts with China. Your leaders are stealing the money that is meant to create hospitals, to give loans to small businesses, to build roads, to create things that engage the community in a productive fashion. These guys are running around, driving Mercedes-Benzes and Rolls-Royce, flying around with their private jet planes, going abroad and get medical attention when they're not feeling very well or what have you. But you are lynching a 14, 13-year-old child for stealing an orange.
Well, that's just the point. That's just the point. We are supposed to adhere to some virtues, some tenets of the month, in the month. And like this month of Agunsi, the energy that's supposed to speak through us is female, nurturing. If we had that in our minds, and the virtues this month is patience, tolerance, love. That's what you're supposed to exhibit in the month of Agunsi. If you had that, if you understood that to be your spiritual tradition, you will not go out there and hurt anybody. You will not go out there. I mean, if it says love is a virtue we're supposed to express today, then those little children deserved our love. We could have come together and bought food to feed them, and patience, tolerance. We didn't do that. These people are lost because they believe that their sins have been bought and paid for, if I may use that expression.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what they do, they're still going to some heaven somewhere. Listen, reality check. Huh?
Think about this.
African people, practice your spirituality. Find what's in it that will help you to act according to those principles. Love does not hurt. Patience does not hurt. Nurturing does your hurt. Your female essence comes out, and that's nurturing. We should look around. Who do we in the month of Agunsi? Who do we help this month?
Think about this.
Who do we help, not hurt?
Yeah, think about this. This is a month, right? The month of Agunsi is the month that calls attention to the wisdom of Chineke. To the wisdom of Chineke. Remember, this is August. This is the month for the New Year celebration where you thank God for the bountiful harvest for the community. This is when you give thanks to Chineke for the blessings of plentiful harvest. This is the month of the New Yam Festival. This is when you give praise to Chineke for bountiful harvest. But in some places, this is the month where you hang and burn 2 babies for stealing food that you're supposed to be giving away for free in the month of 4 days before the New Yam Festival.
The New Yam Festival.
Yeah, 4 days before the New Yam Festival, what you do is you open up your barn, or, your yam barn, where you keep all the yams that you harvested. And everybody in the village can come there. Those people that are lacking can come there and get as many yams as they possibly can for their family, for personal family consumption, not for them to go and sell or whatever. It is given out free. And it's so sad to see that in the same month, there are 2 kids that are being burned to death for stealing, bananas or something like that, because they're hungry.
But see, this is why chiism is so important, and people need to. Those who join membership, they begin to realize we have a responsibility to Chineke. We don't just say Chineke do. Chineke blesses us based on our actions, what we do. This is a very important month for us. This month, with the ancestral mandate, when we talk about the ancestral mandate, what is it that the ancestors would have us do this month? One thing for sure is avoid cruelty. And that brings up the issue of those children. That is beyond cruelty. We're not supposed to engage in any such things. We're not supposed to engage in any activities this month at all, the month of August, to hurt another soul, because there is that belief that Chi is in each one of us. If you honor Chineke, how can you honor another instrument that Chineke uses to bless the world, which is another fellow human being? How do you do that? Cruelty must not be a part of our consciousness this month. It must not be. The other thing is insensitivity. Now, there's a young woman. I'm going to challenge, and I'll reach out to her. There's a young woman, and I didn't respond to her because I wanted to see what everyone else is going to be doing, or how everyone else will address what this woman has been posting in our website, on our Facebook forum. She's been saying, I'm hungry. My child is dying. Please, I don't have food. I'm waiting for somebody, and for those of us who are members of Chiism, this is your challenge. I've not seen any one of us say anything to that woman, whether it's true or not. You don't know. People are actually starving. I want to see somebody. It's a challenge for those Chiists who are watching. Go to our forum, Global Faith Ministries of Chiism. Read. You will see a woman who over and over and over. But I'm going to reach out to her. But I want the rest of you to reach out to her. I didn't say anything because I wanted to see who else will respond. This is the month that we must not be insensitive to the cries of other people. It is our responsibility as Chi's. If you see someone who's hurting, you must do something to help. We cannot be indifferent. It is a month that we're not supposed to show any level of indifference to other people's pain. That is the month of August. And the causes that we are supposed to support is political activism, which is what we are talking about today. We are being activists today. We are going to talk about what's going on in Nigeria. Our topic today is Nigeria losing its sovereignty to China because of the actions of some of the ministers in Nigeria? Now, I am not going to say that these people have done anything wrong yet. I understand that on August the 17th, they are going to be meeting with the House. I don't want to call names, so please forgive me for not calling names, because it's on the website, you can all read about it. But there is the notion that some loans were signed with China. Loans signed with China that may cause Nigeria to lose its sovereignty, because within that loan, they waived immunity due to sovereignty. And that is to say, if we do not pay back the loans that we signed, China has the right to take over some of our UD, I'll let you talk about that, because I am so upset about this, because many of us who are talking about going back home, how do you go back home? If Nigeria is no longer in our hands, what am I going home to?
You see, that's the frustration here. When, there's always this clarion call back home, for everybody to go home. I've had some conversations with my friends, and I have a lot of friends that say that they're not going back to Nigeria anymore. Not because they haven't tried, not because they're looking down upon the country, but because they've actually gone there, spent a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6, 7 years trying to make something happen. And they run into a brick wall all the time because they found out that you can't not do business the right way in Africa, right? Sign a contract. Here's the thing about doing business in Africa. In the United States or in Europe or wherever else that things, happen the right way, that people do business the right way. The idea of business is to have repeat customers, right? You provide a service, people like what you did, you're a company of your word, or you're a man or woman of your word, they come back again and do business with you because their experience with you, right, is very exemplary. In Africa, that's not what goes on over there. It's a one-time thing. Worry about the next customer later. Profit as much as you can with what it is that you have with the business that you're dealing with right now. Here's the sad thing about this, because I'm a firm believer in cause and effect. I mean, how did we get here, right? China does a whole lot of underhanded things in Africa. We understand that. Okay, what do you expect? If you allow somebody to take advantage of you, they're going to take advantage of you. You can't even blame them for taking advantage of you. It's just the way the world works. So what do? You try to protect yourself. That's what you do, right? You can't sit around and say, oh, China this, China that, China this, China. China is doing what it is that China feels that it has to do with a country with a population of about 1.2 billion people, right? Going through all manner of economic issues and medical issues and all that stuff. They need an outside environment that they could colonize, as far as I'm concerned, to kind of alleviate the pressure on mainland China. Now, how did we get here? A lot of these leaders that you see in the Senate, for example, a lot of these government officials like Rotimi Amechi, who is Minister of Transportation, and the guy who is actually responsible for signing this contract with China that we're talking about today, was a failed governor in River State. How did a failed governor end up Minister of Transportation? How did people like Otis Wakalo, who was the failed governor of Abia State, that actually put Abia State in the position, the economic downturn that is in today, end up becoming a senator? How did all these failed governors that spent their time governing just siphoning off money from the coffers of the state? How did they end up backing government? The government that we have is a representation of how we think in Africa. You could hang a little kid for stealing corn to feed himself, but you got these leaders running around here cycling themselves within the government for years, and you don't do anything about it. How did you get here? What is this bastardized economic modernity that we're experiencing today? What is it about us that makes us feel that only our personal success or salvation is meaningful? What is it about us that we have forgotten the idea of communal responsibility, where if things are going very well for the community, you in turn benefit from it? If the community is flourishing, of course everybody's going to be flourishing. Why is it upside down? Why is it the other way around? What is this weakness within us that allows us to be taken advantage of? Not just by foreign government, but by our own leaders. What is our expectations, for crying out loud? How did we get here? I'll tell you how we got here. Religion got us here. Islam got us here. Christianism got us here. The Arabs and the Europeans have already taken advantage of Africa through colonization and slavery. The shackles have been taken off your hands. Now you think you're free. Now you think you can make your own decisions. But the chain is now in your head. That's why today you can't come up with good leadership. You don't have any economic policies that will benefit the community. You have no long-term plans. You are burning people for stealing food items just because they are hungry. You have forgotten to pay attention to the wisdom of Chineke, and to some of you, the wisdom of God. You have forgotten your responsibility as a human being. In Chiism, in Africa, we have a saying, how did we bear? You're like God to your fellow human being. What happened to that? What is your expectation in terms of your relationship, first with God and then with your fellow human beings? How does your behavior affect your environment and the situation that we find ourselves in Africa right now? Who is going to bail the cat? That's the only problem I have with this right now. I'm not so much into the Chinese thing, because the Chinese contract in Nigeria, Rotimi Williams signing contract without letting people know what they're doing before this contract is signed. It's like running a fever. But there's an underlying reason why you have that fever. We need to find out why we have this fever, why we're behaving the way we're behaving, why we sell out our own sovereignty.
Selling out. It's
for our personal benefit. It's sad.
Well, let me ask you, Nnamdi. See, one of the things that troubles me about it as a parent is, you always say, someday I'm going to go back home, which many of us are planning to do. But you have young people that want to go home. When they read things like this, where our leaders are selling out, and here in the United States, you see people saying Black Lives Matter. They take to the streets, they complain, they assert their right to protest against something that does not sit comfortably with them. I am yet to see any Nigerians anywhere
Thank you.
making any noise that our sovereignty matters. Everybody sits and waits for somebody else. Well, it's the COVID. Okay, there's COVID and these young people are still marching here. So I take this question to Nnamdi. Nnamdi, what are your thoughts when you hear about the possibility? Now, this is a possibility. We're not saying it's for sure. The possibility that we may lose our sovereignty because of some deals made by some ministers that we didn't know anything about. We didn't approve. I'll let you talk about that.
Well, to me, I see the biggest problem about this whole thing. The biggest problem about this whole thing is, number one, we have fallen into the Chinese money trap. Okay. We've fallen into the Abrahamic trap first, and now we've fallen into the Chinese money trap. Now, this isn't me coming from a specific perspective just on Nigeria. This is something that's happening all over the country, or all over Africa. What they do is they come into specific countries in Africa. They present them with the opportunity to say, okay, look, we can bail you out. We can provide you with this amount of money. Now, they know what countries that they're going to, and they know who they're talking to, right? They know that they're talking to countries that do have a major lack in actual leadership, so to speak. So they go and they talk to individuals that claim to be leaders and governing officials, but really haven't governed anything or led the country to anything that is going to benefit the people, right? So they go to these individuals, they provide them, say, we can do this to provide this for your country, blah, blah, blah. Now, one of the major things that is the problem is you have other individuals coming into your country telling you what they can give you in order to help build your infrastructure. If you have someone else coming into your country dictating how much will go to your country in order to help provide infrastructure for your country, and then you take that money, but with them knowing that the money they're giving you is not going to go towards that infrastructure, there's always stipulations that are attached to it. Always. Well, we're going to give you this loan. If we give you this loan, it should go towards this. But if you don't pay it back, we are taking a piece of your country. And just for the fact that they can say, if this doesn't happen, well, there's going to be interest attached. Now, they don't say, oh, we're going to come and we're going to take this country. The fact that the idea, the concept, or even an inkling of saying, okay, well, we'll sign here on the dotted line in order to receive these funds, which is supposed to go towards developing the infrastructure of the country, but it's going towards individuals' private bank accounts. But see, they know this. That's why it's called a trap. They know this. So now the money is going into people's individual bank accounts, is going into people's pockets. With it going into people's pockets, now all of a sudden, after that timeline is up, once that timeline is up, now all of a sudden, you either have to pay back all that was given plus the interest, or you're handing over a certain amount of your country to these individuals that gave it to you. See, this is what businesses do, period. They do this. This is a strategy. If you go to a loan shark, I'm not even going to say a business. Let's just say a loan shark. If you were to ever approach a loan shark is going to say, okay, we'll give you this. There's going to be interest attached. And if you don't pay it back, we're coming to visit you and we're taking not only your money, but we're also taking your kneecaps. This is what they're doing. We're selling ourselves out and we're giving these people the legs for us to stand on. That's the problem. Like, we're literally giving, you have individuals, leaders of this country, leaders of our country, leaders of the individuals. And here's another thing. Apparently, they don't pay too much attention to the people, because the people is what actually helps to develop the strength of the country. You have individuals in leadership that are following an idea of wealth that was basically broadcasted from other people. You have a European way of mind, a European mindset in individuals that Nigeria alone is 99% Christian and Muslim. 99%. If, as Dibia Ochwaja Yudi said, if you take the shackles off the wrist and you put it on the brain, if 99% of the country is either Christian or Muslim, there is no sovereignty. So that means you have other individuals dictating how you behave without them having to say anything anymore. So now you don't have infrastructure in the country that's ruled or controlled or developed by you, because you're not providing the opportunities to the individuals that actually make the country what it's supposed to be, which is the people. If you look at any country, any nation, it is the people that actually make up the country. It's not a handful of leaders that make up the country. It is the people that make up the country. And you have to have something structured in that concept of nation formation, nation development, nation building. You have to have something that helps the people establish something of themselves in that nation. So if you remove the spiritual tenets, you're removing the cultural tenets. You're removing cultural tenets. You've stripped away the economic tenets and the economic structure that helps to develop and build the country and sustain it. So there is no country. We basically don't own the country right now, period. So we have individuals that are pocketing the funds that can actually help to develop the country, help to build the sustainability for the country, help to build infrastructure for the country, and you're not even giving that money or providing those opportunities for the people. So if you're not giving the individuals the opportunity to help develop the country that you're in, you're not providing or promoting economic wealth, mental wealth, mental development, spiritual development, because you don't own it. You have no control over it. So when I don't see individuals in my age range in Nigeria actually saying anything or speaking up, well, I will take that back. There are some. The problem is they don't get enough acknowledgement of their voice. So it basically looks as if nobody is there to say anything. We have people here in this country, they come from Nigeria, they come here, they get comfortable. They get comfortable. Oh, because you have all the amenities that are available to you. Here, I put it like this. Me personally, I'm definitely planning on going back. The reason why I'm planning on going back is because I want to be able to provide opportunities. I have a graphic design business, but I also know the concept and the idea of how people work. We're very visual creatures. So my idea is, okay, if I can take that idea and that concept, I can go back home and I can begin to say, okay, even if you're starting from the dirt, if you're coming from the mud, let's be able to develop something as far as Africans where we can see ourselves being with the same height of God, period. Recognizing the creators within ourselves and basically saying, okay, let's develop something where not only we recognize how much value we can provide, but let's let people see what it looks like when we are valuable. Whatever your opportunity, whatever business, whatever it is that you actually want to put out there, my goal is, okay, if I'm going back, I'm going there for a purpose. The main goal is to go back and help to develop, because I can't go back and see everything that's going on. It is extremely frustrating. It's extremely frustrating just to hear it. I was supposed to go back the end of last year. Didn't get the opportunity, had a few things going on, especially with business. So got caught up. But when I hear about everything that's going on, it does not make me feel as if the country itself has any leadership whatsoever. So it's like individuals like you guys, individuals such as yourself, individuals like myself and other youths. It's basically like we have to go and govern the country ourselves, because there is no leadership. I don't care what anyone says. You can put a title, whatever type of title that you want. Just like he was saying, Udi was saying, you have individuals that are coming in and being placed into positions that they have no skill set, they have no understanding, and they have no business being in those positions. So you actually have to find people that have the common sense and the national wherewithal that to say we are going to go back and govern our own country, because there is no one there that is doing it.
Thank you so much, Udi, Namdi. Excellent. And you know what? One of the key things here is we've gotten so complacent, so that when bad things are happening to us, Dibia, when bad things are happening to us, we don't react. We take the word, okay, like the president of China is denying all of this. And you got some people online say, yeah, it's not true. You know, we're going to pay back. Can we pay back? What is the history of Nigerians paying back loans? What is the history? I mean, you've got to look at where you were in the past, where you are now, and you can pretty much determine what's going to happen in the future.
Iwala, you've heard of Iwala, right?
Yes.
You know, Iwala actually helped Nigeria pay off his loans.
Yes.
During the time of Goodluck Jonathan, right? People that at least had a little bit of sense of communal or national responsibility, people that actually valued their position and felt a level of responsibility in trying to make things a little bit better for the common man. We actually did, but as soon as Jonathan left and Buhari came in, all hell broke loose. We just recycled the same idiots that got us in the bad spot that we were in, in the first place. Let me just pick it back off what Nnamdi has said in terms of having the right people in the right positions, right? It's like a medical doctor becomes the minister of culture. Somebody with a sociology degree becomes the minister of health. What in the world does he know about health? Sometimes in Africa, not just Nigeria, even in our own communities, or global African communities, but let's just be a little bit specific and just say in Africa, we act like some of these services and these loans and all these things that we ask foreign corporations or foreigners to do for us, like we can't do it for ourselves. I mean, we graduate more medical doctors than any other nation that I know in this world. But yet, the medical infrastructure in Nigeria ain't worth a dime. We have engineers that work for Ford Motors, that work for Chevrolet, they build cars and all that. And yet, the one auto industry that we have in Nigeria, we don't necessarily have a national support for it. Jealousy is coming and all that kind of stuff. And, if the governors want to buy government cars from the company, then they expect to make a budget that also, includes some money on the side for the government for ordering these cars, right? So that he could put some of the money from the budget in their pockets. We act like we're unable to do anything. We get loans from China to build a railroad from Lagos or something to the north that houses practically no industries. And then you say to yourself, we have serviced over 17 loans already, right? We've obtained 17 loans to fund different capital projects in Nigeria and all that. And as a matter of fact, the last loan that we got in 2018 is going to be mature. The maturity date is 2038. Yet we don't have any electricity. All these 17 loans never address the most important infrastructure problem that Africa has, that Nigeria has. With constant electricity that you could depend on, do you know how many businesses will flourish? Let's not even talk about the health benefit of not running generators 24/7. People not dying in their homes because of carbon monoxide poisoning. 17 loans from China worth billions and billions of dollars, and you can't even have 30 minutes of electricity anywhere in the country without having a generator running and poisoning both you and the environment. What are these loans for? Meaningless loans that are just designed to put money in the coffers of those people that wrote those loans, and then give the people that gave you the loans the ability to control the same infrastructure that they just built. Because believe me, the money that you pay to take a train from Lagos to the north, if you don't pay those loans back, that money is going to go to China. It's not going to go to further maintain and develop the infrastructure in Nigeria. One thing is to build infrastructure. Another thing is to maintain it.
Yes.
We can't even do that.
We can't even do that.
Infrastructure 10 years from now, you wouldn't even want to get on any train going anywhere. in Africa. Further piggyback on what Nnamdi was talking about. Now we're talking about your mind. Where is your mind? The chains was taken off of you physically, but it's put up here. Your expectations from those people that rule you. You know what? Religion is designed to keep the poor from killing the rich. Religion is designed to keep the oppressed from choking out the oppressor. That's why you have 99% of the population going to church or going to the mosque or whatever on Sundays, because they're promising you a life of excess after you die. Mm-hmm. They're telling you, you don't have control over what's going on with you right here on earth. But when you die, you're going to have roads paved with gold. But meanwhile, you're driving on roads with potholes over here. That's what you should be dealing with. And then the Muslims tell you, oh, don't worry about getting beheaded over here. Just worry about the 72 black-eyed virgins up in heaven. So you see a lot of guys committing a lot of atrocities, killing one another, beheading people, raping women, just because they expect 72 black-eyed virgins in heaven. And why does the eye have to be black? You know, can it be blue-eyed?
Look. You know, this is the month of Agunsi. Yeah. This is the month of Agunsi. Go to God the way you understand best. But God also, Chineke also wants you to be sensible. Okay? There are some things that you have to ask questions about. Yeah. You know, you have to ask questions. You can't just accept anything that's given you. My concern for Nigeria right now is, let's face it, China needs additional space.
They do. Absolutely.
They need space. They're not coming there. They're not coming there to give you anything. They're preparing for their incursion.
That's it.
Look what has happened to Zambia. Yeah. Zambia has lost the authority over some of its resources because they couldn't pay back the loan. What I'm afraid for Nigeria, if people are not speaking up, if people are thinking it's going to go away, it's not.
It's not going anywhere.
Let's just hope they haven't signed on the dotted line. Because if they have, as we say in Igbo, I don't answer.
Big time.
I don't answer. Because, you know, all of our children are supposed to inherit Nigeria. They're supposed to go back home someday and take ownership of that country. Our children are supposed to go back to Africa and take ownership of their own continent. Now, many of them piecemeal are being carved away. And look, I'm not mad at China.
No,
I'm not.
China's doing what China's got to do.
China is doing what they have to do to sustain themselves. Every country does it. My question is, at what point does Nigeria wake up? Wake up. Nothing is going to happen on your behalf if you don't do it. It is your time and your responsibility. For the sake of your children, for heaven's sake, learn to say no. Money isn't everything.
It just isn't.
Money isn't everything. They said we call children wakego. Yeah. Wakego. That means the child is grander and greater than money. You're not going to be buried without money. The people that we leave behind are the ones who are going to carry our legacy forward. But if they don't have anywhere to go, what are we doing? I ask you, Nnamdi, pick up again.
There's no understanding of generational wealth. Like every country that you look at has an understanding of generational wealth. If you look at every community, just if we were talking about just the communities in the United States alone, the Jewish community, the Asian community, the Middle Eastern community, they have an understanding of generational wealth. And we're talking about we're talking about communities inside one country alone that have an understanding of how that works. Generational wealth, having an understanding of how the community helps to develop generational wealth. But it all starts from the understanding of how it works in the home. You have a bunch of people in Nigeria, you have a bunch of people that are living in their home, and basically their parents are acting, the governing officials are acting like they just don't give a damn. Oh, this is my food, this is my money, this is my stuff. And it's not even a thing of giving the people the opportunity to make something of themselves. You're not providing them with any opportunity. So you don't have an understanding of generational wealth, let alone wealth, period. You're giving your wealth away to everyone else, or you're just keeping it. Like, what sense does it actually make? What sense does
let me share this with you. Maybe you can address something that a young man here, Ukunna Charles, is curious about. He says that he has a passion, for doing the right thing in Nigeria. But what he runs across is, as an activist, because he's an activist as well, but as an activist, he comes around activists who don't have the same intention as he does. Many of them want money. They come in excited and all that, but the intention is not for the good of the whole, but for their own pocket. So some of their own effort, some of the effort of some of this youth is going, nowhere, because some of the people in charge, just stand in the way or just looking for money for themselves. Well, how do you address this young man? What would you say to him?
Well,
his name is Ukunna Charles.
Okunna Charles.
Yeah, he's a member of Chiism. Yes.
I think one of the things that is very necessary, and this is going to be probably the realest thing you're going to hear. You can't take everybody to the water with you, man. You can't. You have to have a clear understanding of what your objectives are, and find individuals that see the money as something at the finish line rather than it being at the starting line. When it comes down to it, you have to be able to make, of course, it takes money to be able to make certain things move. At the same time, it takes the people to make those things move. You need the right people with the right mentality, with the right sense of urgency to make things.
So there's a need to be able to weed people out. It's difficult.
You have to be able to weed
people out.
You have to be able to.
And don't get disappointed, right? Don't be disappointed that they didn't go all the way with you. You're going to carry some people so far.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Some people just aren't going to be able to. Some people aren't going to go the entire distance with you. So the main goal is to say, okay, who is it that, number one, has the same intentions? And then, because they're sitting there waiting for the money, what opportunities can you seek to bring in the things that you need to bring in order to move your mission along, rather than just fill your pockets? I know it's difficult out there. I already know it is very, very difficult out there. People are looking for opportunities. That's the reason why they're so hungry for, the money. People got to eat. I completely get it. I completely understand. But when it comes down to that concept of activism, I'm not saying that activists have to be poor. Activists have to be, have to go hungry. That's not what we're saying. But you just have to make sure you have the right people with you in order to move your mission forward, and that the money is going to come along with it, because you can always find individuals to help support your cause. When you find the right people to support your cause, then you'll get the right money to come in to help move that cause.
Well, his argument is that it's hard to get the right people in the environment he's in. Now, do you want to address that? And then somebody else has a question that I need you to address.
Yeah. I just wanted to address what Nandi said just for a second. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. And I'm going to use biblical reference, because of the fact that most of our audience, people that are going to be listening to these things are, Christians for the most part. Maybe some Muslims mixed in there, but hardly, traditionalists that are going to be watching this. In the Bible, Solomon was a great king, and he did a lot for his people. But it wasn't a democracy. In Ghana, Rawlins did a lot for the Ghanaians. It wasn't a democracy. Thomas Sankara in the former Upper Volta that finally became Burkina Faso, was a great leader. It wasn't a democracy. Julius Nyerere, when asked about democracy, valuable democracy, said that Africa wasn't ready for it. There's democracy right now in Rwanda. The Rwandan president has been in power for 20 years. He's indirectly ruling the country and doing great things for the country because the country in itself, because of its tribal, religious, and political, issues, is not ready for democracy. Africa to develop. We don't need democracy. We don't need valuable democracy to develop Africa. What we need is a leader like Rawlings, like Thomas Sankara, who has the welfare of the people at heart, who is a communal thinker, and who is ready to do whatever it takes to straighten things out, thereby putting people in leadership and through force, curtailing the corruption that is Africa. We don't need Western democracy. Anybody that comes out and tells you that Africa needs Western democracy right now is an enemy of Africa. We don't need a dictatorship. What we need is a leader who, by force, is willing to do whatever it takes to bring electricity, to create good infrastructure, bring green energy, create industries. Nigeria is the richest and wealthiest African nation in the world, but we have no industry. All we have is oil. And with oil prices in the toilet right now, how do you expect to pay those loans back to China? How do you expect to do it? We need a dictator who is not necessarily a dictator. We don't need an Idi Amin. We need a Thomas Sankara. We need a Patrice Lumumba. We need people that are willing to fix Africa, whether the corrupt Africans like it or not, whether the people that go to the mosque every day like it or not, whether the Christians like it or not, whether every entity in Africa that does not have a stake in its upward mobility likes it or not, whether the foreign interest likes it or not, we need to chart our own course and enforce it. That's what Africa needs.
Oh my goodness.
Period.
You know what? You don't even know where to start. Now I have a young man, Chimobi. He's a member of Chiism as well. And he did say, he has asked a question. Well, no, he made a statement that I think is really something we need to talk about. He says that one of the problems that Africa has experienced, quite frankly, Nigeria in particular, is a lack of identity. They lack the identity, You can't have nation building where people lack an understanding of who they are, that they belong, and have no sense of belonging. This is why, I'm going to be honest with you. The people are going to get upset with me, but there's nothing that irritates me to no end than these Igbos calling themselves Jews. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. How can you develop a nation of Igbo land when you see yourself not as an Igbo person, but as a Jew, as a Jewish person? Do these people even understand for you to be a Jewish person, your mother has to be Jewish? That's the terms of being Jewish. I'm not sure who came to Igbo land. There's a gentleman that came to Igbo land that started all of this. And now people are calling themselves, they're walking around wearing Jewish, as if our own African cloth is no good anymore. They wear all this Jewish everything. Look, I'm not against the Jews. This is not the point. They have the right to exist just like we do. But so do we. We need to find ourselves so that we can develop our nation. That's what Chimobi is saying. When you don't have that, it is very difficult for nation formation and nation building. We are everywhere. And guess what? Adora did say this. It is religion that's tearing us apart. We can't come together because of all these different religions. We don't have one umbrella under which we can use to march forward. Everything is this person. I'm this. I'm Jewish. I'm Christian. All of these things. And now ideas have come with their own. Now we're becoming Confucians or whatever the heck else we are now. I mean, Chimobi said it, and Adora said it. You cannot have any semblance of unity if you're torn apart in all different directions. And that's where we are right now. You have something to say, UD?
Yeah, it's sort of like a child that is looking for validation, you know, you've been rejected by your parents, you're rejected by your family. So you're doing anything, whatever it takes for your mother and your father to love you again. You will stoop to all manner of self-defecation or whatever, just to invite the love that you feel that will make you whole. We want to be everything other than who God made us, other than what we truly are. Some of these people that are Jews, or that claim to be Jews in Africa, are people that have lost faith in Christianity and are looking for something else. So instead of looking within, they go on the outside to find something else that they could attach themselves to, like the child who is looking for validation from the parents or from the family. So they go out and they embrace something. They could embrace Hinduism, whatever it is, as long as it's not African. Religion is the problem that Africa has today. And it is because of this religion that we're unable to do anything. I'm getting a vibration in my ear. But anyway, we need to look inward to be able to solve the problems that we have in Africa. There's a lot of beauty in African culture. You cannot build a castle on sand. You cannot build a nation based on somebody else's auspices. You can't do that. Given a choice, building a castle on the rock and building a castle on sand, Africans build castles on sand without any foundation.
If you look at one of, I mean, there's so many things. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take words from your mouth, but there's so many things that have been set up in Nigeria, in Africa as a whole, that makes it very difficult for us to have this sense of unity. It starts with our schools. Chimobio made a comment about that. The school is one of the worst institutions. You know, I went to Nigeria last year, and I saw this booklet at a hotel where we were staying, and it was a sort of marketing for this new school. Beautiful school. It has every amenity, but all the kids are dressed in Eurocentric clothing, and everything they teach is on Eurocentrism. All right. How do you consider nation building when you're being taught that what makes you a nation is bad, or you shouldn't pay it any attention? You know, this is, people think the miseducation of African Americans here in America, but the miseducation of Africans in Africa, that one is, when you talk about colonialism, that one is in the bones. Even because even parents prefer their children to go to Eurocentric schools. They prefer their children to go to schools where they learn anything other than who they are. So the school system has got to change. It has to become African-centered for nation formation, for nation building. You know, for us to stop selling our country away, we must let the children understand the importance of being a Nigerian, being a Ghanaian, being a South African, being whatever African you are. Part of it is holding on to your things, holding on to your culture, holding to your language, holding on to everything that makes you who you are. Every time we have all these new ideas that infiltrate our communities and we latch on to them, we lose ours. We lose a sense of who we are. We stop being Igbo. We stop being Yoruba. We stop being Hausa. We stop being Akan. We just become everything else. And you cannot absolutely build a nation based on that. I want to ask each of you to please give us your parting statements on this issue.
In nation formation, right? There's something called, there's a phrase that we have to really, really get in touch with and embrace. It's called cultural consistency. It is lacking in all of Africa. It's lacking in Nigeria. You have the Muslims up north. You have the Christians in the south. Then you have the people that mix everything up. Then you have less than 1% of the population that is, you know, primordial in their spiritual leanings. there is no cultural consistency in the Black community all over the world.
We have 1 second for you to, we have 2 seconds for you to sum it up.
Okay, every nation that is a player in the world today they have one thing in common. They're culturally original. We need to think about that, look into that as part of the idea of being able to manage a nation so that our days on this earth will be a little bit more productive than it is right now.
Thank you. Thank you, Yudi. Namdi?
First and foremost, there's an interesting saying. Success always happens. The one thing that is consistent is success. Someone is always going to win. Someone's dream is always going to happen. It's always going to come true. The question is, are you putting forth the energy to make sure that your success and your dream is seen as a reality, or are you helping someone else's? That's the main thing. We're giving most of the control or our effort to helping build up someone else's reality, someone else's dream, someone else's success. And we're not doing it for ourselves because we see everyone else's as being more important and more relevant than our own. What we need to do is actually start looking, as he said, look within, look to start building ourselves, build up our dream, our success, put forth that energy towards the ownership of our success, of our dreams, and actually make that our reality rather than someone else's.
I thank both of you for joining us today. This was a very, very interesting episode today. Thank you so much. And I want to thank all the viewers who joined us and asked some very interesting questions. And I hope we're able to answer those questions to some degree. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We've come to the end of our show. Thank you for joining us. Let every way of your lives be light and all of your acts be crowned with good. And may the world prosper by everything that we have done, we have said today, everything that you put forth to make your world a better place. We ask you to please keep doing it, be a part of the change in our world. Oh, one last thing. Young people, it's your world. It is your world. Don't let it go astray. Speak up, just like they're doing in the United States. They're speaking up. Black Lives Matter. Sovereignty matters. You must stop that argument. It is up to you. If you start it, we will back you up. And so it is. Thank you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Yagazie.